Hey guys, what up? Back with another video on my computer. Gonna be installing a couple new parts today. Also, I'm gonna be redoing the wires, as the wires in the case are a little messy. So I want to kind of redo the wires a little bit. But yeah, just a couple of parts. So I got here. I just bought this today. New M.2. I didn't pay $200 for it. It's just the old price tag they had on the M.2. I'm going to be using this mostly for my Steam library, so I got 2 terabytes, which should be enough for most of my games on my Steam account. I'm going to install new cables from Cable Mod. These are the Pro series. I have their old mesh, I guess, or old Mod Flex cables from my old NZXT build. So these ones are going to be Pro Mesh. So they're going to be nylon instead of paracord. As you can kind of see, I have the paracord cables over there. They're quite old. And then this one's a new one. This one's a new mesh type cable. So it's more nylon like. I'm going to move this cable around too so it doesn't block my fan. I'm going to rewire some of the, whatchamacallit here, the cooler wire for RGB and all that. I'm going to redo the wires up there. So I'm going to take that apart. Going to install this thing also. This is a contact frame for the 1700 LGA brackets. Basically what it is, I'm sure you've seen it over YouTube already. It's just to replace the Intel loader, CPU loader. And so I saw a video on Gamer's Nexus on how to install it. So hopefully I'll do it correctly. I won't really have any video of myself doing all this. I'll just kind of show you like the before and after shots. Since I don't really have a tripod. Well, I do have a tripod, but I don't really want to film myself installing all this. Plus, it's kind of boring. So, yeah. So this is what it's gonna look like right now, and then I'll show you the finished product once I get the cables installed. Obviously, you're not gonna be able to see this or this. These are hidden in the motherboard, but the cable is the main thing you're gonna see. I also bought a new a second stick of RAM. Or to make it a full dual channel or dual memory RAM. Those sticks are coming in later, so I'll install that later. But right now, yeah, they're 2x16, so I'm getting their 2x16. Hopefully, the same timing and same speed and everything. So hopefully they work together. If you didn't know, Intel has well, I guess a lot of the DDR5 they have huge issues where they weren't working together, especially even if they're from the same pack or the same, I guess, manufacturer date in factory, or I guess same SKU. But hopefully the ones I get will work fine. I usually use X&P Profile 1. I might try 2. I heard 2 is more unstable, but we'll have to see. But yeah, other than that, I could rewire it and show you guys the finished product a little bit later. Probably take me an hour or so to do all the rewiring and cable management. So yeah, see you guys then. Alright, just installed the new contact frame, cleaned up some of the old thermal paste on there, so I'm going to apply some new thermal paste. The M.2 is installed under this I/O shield, or not I/O shield, but I guess motherboard shield. So I have one under this display screen, live dash screen, and then one under here. And there's still one more slot for another M.2, but I don't think I need that much storage. So it came with a nice little tube thing here. I think I'm gonna do like I think I've seen a lot of videos where the X pattern of putting thermal paste is probably the best way. Gives you the most spread, I believe. So we're gonna do that, and then mount the cooler back on, and then we're gonna go ahead and start rerouting and rewiring all of the cables. And I'll open up the cable mod package in a second and show you guys what's inside. All right, be right back. All right, guys, just finished tidying up some of the cables and installing the cable mod, Pro Mesh or Mesh Mod Mesh Pro. So yeah, let's take a closer look. Got these ones right here. They're a little, they're definitely nice. Just I need to probably train them a little bit better to make them look a little bit more uniform. But overall, a lot better than my old cables. Same with the 6 pin PCI over here. Then we have double 8-pin CPU up here. And then we have the 12 volt or whatever you call it. I wanted to move it going this way from like this corner to here. I tried that, but it looked kind of ugly moving across, so I just decided to put it back down here. I was able to scoot it a little bit more left, so it doesn't sit on top of the middle of the fan over here. So I think it looks a lot better rather than having it kind of go across, kind of like how the tube from the AIO is. And then I moved the RGB cable, routed it down here through the back over here and back over to the top left up there, or the top right. I wanted to initially move it down here in the bottom because there's some RGB adjustable headers down there, but the cable unfortunately wasn't long enough to reach all the way to the bottom, so I had to stick to the adjustable header up on the top right there, right next to the post code. Looks a little wonky because it has this extra like extended cable thing, but I mean overall it's fine. You know, it still looks pretty good. I'm gonna try to make it look like it's one cable. I'm sort of hit myself in the fan right there. Yeah, it looks pretty decent, I'd say. We want to say I have the RGB set at 50% because they were hella bright at like 70 to 50% or 70 to 100%. Keep touching the fans, but yeah, so it's not like super duper bright. It's like more subtle. Eventually I'll do something crazy with, or you know, pick a color scheme or something, but for now I'm just gonna leave it as rainbow effect. The whatchamacallit has been installed, M.2. I haven't gotten around to, quite frankly, set it up yet. I need to go to disk management and set that up, and then transfer some games. Temperature wise, even though the glass is gone right now, usually my GPU sits around 70 or 37 degrees, and it's looking like it's about 36, so it's about the same no matter what. The CPU though did drop a lot. It used to idle around about 37 to 45 depending on what task I'm doing. And right now, even though the window's open, it's idling around 30, 33, 36-ish, maybe hitting the 40s. So maybe an average like 35 degrees, which is really good. So I think the contact frame worked out really well. I was afraid of messing up the contact frame a little bit because if you put uneven pressure on it while you're tightening down the screws, it might, you know, cause some issues. But looked like it's okay. It improved it by maybe, I want to say about 5 degrees, maybe 7 degrees even. So that's I think that's totally worth it for, I don't know, spending about $10 on the contact frame. So I think that was worth the investment there. You know, we'll have to see once I put on the glass panel and the top cover. You know, it might be a little bit different, different story. But for now, it looks like the contact frame's doing really a good job. The cables look really nice, especially like the 6-pin cable over here. Because I had a 4x4 or no 6x2, and I just kind of hid the 2 somewhere. But this is just literally it goes from 3 to or 6-pin to 8, which is kind of interesting. But we're looking pretty nice. And then yeah, the 24-pin. I'm still kind of messing around with the how it like sits, because it's sagging a little bit. I want it to sit up a little bit higher, like that would be like symmetrical, but not a big deal. I don't think it can sit any higher or any lower. Maybe I can lower the back part, but it's also competing with this on space, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to get it any lower than that. Last thing to install is my second set of RAM. Gotta get that in the next couple of days. It's coming in the mail. And then yeah, the 8-pin's looking nice up there. Got rid of this thing, made this thing basically nothing coming out of there. So yeah, try to hide as much of the cables as I could. Obviously, you have a little bundle of like the CPU header. Not much I can really do about that. This entire VRAM, I guess, cooler thing doesn't let me like, you know, put the wire through here and under it and into that. The header is just too big, so I just kind of have to leave it hanging there. At least it's a white cable, so it kind of blends in with the rest of the motherboard, which is nice. And then other than that, yeah, it looks pretty clean. No crashes yet, no blue screen. I'm just gonna leave it on, see if anything happens, I guess. Uh, the space back here was super tight though. Let me show you the back of the case. Let me pop it off real quick. Yeah, it's looking. If I took that middle part off, it looks messy back there. There's barely any space. The one thing I hope they improve with this case is the way the power supply sits. So the power supply comes in at an angle and sits like that, right? Where like my old NZXT case, the power supply comes with a little like tray attachment where you can slide the power supply in and out, and that makes the installing the power supply 100 times easier. This one you have to like angle it in, put it in, and then it's just there's a clump of cables right here, which makes it very difficult to do. So I had to put the power supply in, then plug in the cables, and just that alone that took like I don't know half an hour to do. Try to squeeze as much of the cables in there as I could. Obviously I got my controller unit for the fans and the RGB up here. And then I had to kind of tuck some of the cables up here in this middle portion, top portion, and this middle portion right here. I'm not sure if you can kind of see it. If I get a little bit lower, yeah, right there. Had to sort of tuck the cables in between the hard drive cage. I guess if you go all M.2s, you can remove the hard drive cage, and that will allow you to move some of these cables that's sitting right here towards where the hard drive cage would be, which would make it ideal. But unfortunately, I have a hard drive cage because I have 3 SSDs in here. I guess I can move the SSD over here to like plop it on this thing instead. But I guess I just wanted all 3 of them here, and hook them up with one SATA cable. So I'm just gonna have to make do with that for now. But everything else looking pretty good. Yeah, not much to say. I wish I was able to channel these cables a little bit better, so it doesn't go across the radiator. But unfortunately, I don't think there's any. They don't have enough cable length to go like down here and then back up into it. There's not enough cable length for that. On top, I guess I can kind of go through the top, then go this way. Let me see. Yeah, up to the top this way, and then go back down. Do that, but there's no cable tie things up there, so the cables would kind of just sit up there. Maybe I can try to mess around with that a little bit later, but for now I'm just gonna have them go across the rad right now, and then figure it out a little bit later. Anyways, just a quick look at my sort of updated PC. I think that's the final part is the RAM, and then I'm basically done with this PC. Maybe upgrade the CPU once was it Raptor Meteor Lake comes out, because I think either Meteor Lake or the refresh of Raptor Lake. I think Meteor Lake is using a different socket, but the refresh of Raptor Lake, which should bring it up to I think 14th gen, so probably like a 14900K or something like that. Maybe, and then I'll go ahead and put that CPU in there, because right now I'm running a 12900K, so it's 1 generation old. It's still a really good CPU. I do a little bit of editing and a little bit of gaming. Works really well. GPU wise, it's a 470 Ti, which is generally pretty good enough because I usually game on my monitor right here is a 1440p 240 hertz monitor. So I think for that purpose, this GPU does that really well. Maybe when I upgrade to a 4K monitor, then I might upgrade the GPU. But for now, I prefer gaming on 1440p because I prefer the super high refresh rate over the pixel density. So that's just me for now. Anyways, guys, that's it. If you want to talk more about PC, let me know. More PC content, I can talk about that a little bit. But yeah, I just want to talk about this just because it's the thing I sit on all day mostly, for either work or for just entertainment. And yeah, it's just a nice build after my initial build, which was like 7 or 6 years ago. A pretty old build now. But yeah, Hope you guys have a good one, and see you guys next time.